Welcome to ThinkTech on OC16, Hawaii's weekly newscast on things that matter to tech. I'm Jay Fidell.
And I'm Duke Oishi.
In our show today, we'll go to Mililani and take a look at Mari's Gardens, an aquaponics farm recently started by nurseryman Fred Lau.
We'll also talk with some aquaponics experts and see how aquaponics is done, how it's doing in Hawaii, and how it could affect our agriculture, aquaculture, and economy.
First, we drove up to Mililani, where we met Fred Lau and some of his friends at his aquaponics farm and nursery there. What has it been like up till this installation?
That's a great question. We haven't seen actually every type of operation, of course, but I think you're right. In general, the systems have been fairly small. What you'll see in these systems, though, there's an infinite of ways to design your system. There's some basic principles, but one of the challenges is that, and the benefits of the system is that you can tailor it to whatever your needs are and whatever your scope is.
You've evolved from a nursery, essentially, to an aquaponics farm within a reasonably short period of time.
We started the aquaponics, really started it up in February of this year. And we're still in the prototype stage.
Yes.
Our goal right now is to take it up to a 1 acre prototype so that we know what our model is and what the economics of doing this will be, and then taking it out on a larger scale.
But even now, you're operating commercially. You're actually selling.
We're actually selling, the lettuce is moving really well, the fish and the aquaculture side. We can't grow it fast enough right now.
That's fabulous. Are you doing this to make the world safe for democracy, or are you doing it for money?
Believe it or not, right now when you see this system, there is no money in this. I think that growing sustainably is important to the world. I also believe that growing this way encourages a younger generation of farmers like Suzanne and my son Brendon. They're pretty enthusiastic about this, and I think we need that.
And the thing about aquaponics is that, yeah, like Tod Low said, you can divorce farming from the land and put this anywhere. So dead spaces in the city, you can put it on a roof, you can kind of line it up against the wall. Not saying you can just do this. It's really hard work, and it's quite an investment for everyone involved. But it's not just agriculture. This kind of embodies all these different sectors like tech, urban planning, architecture, the works.
If I take this system, just put it in a black box for a minute, what goes in from the outside and what goes out from the inside?
We got fish. We have to feed the fish, and the fish food is a major input on the fish end. We have the source water, the water that they're growing in. We have to make sure that the water is not only adequate for the plants and the fish.
So you're essentially, but conceptually, you're putting in fish food and fish nutrients, whatever, into the system, and you're taking out plants and fish.
Yes, and the one nutrient that is not produced by our fish that we know we need is iron, and it's not produced because the feed that is being imported doesn't have enough iron in it. This is not raising fish. That would be relatively simple. This is not raising lettuce. That would be really simple for us. This is integrating the entire process. And we've also put worms into our biofilters, which are composting worms, which are now eating the fish poop in the cinderbed biofilters and breaking that fish food down into other components. So we're not sure what it's changed, but it's changed the dynamics of our system completely. I mean, the lettuce is growing better where we have worms.
Yeah, so got to write that down in the book.
Got to write that down in the book. This is a book. and it's every day is different.
There is the local perception. They think tilapia and Aliwal Canal, and you can see where that comes from. But over time, we've been working with this fish in tilapia, a lot of in Hawaii, and when it is raised in good, clean water, on a good diet, it's a very nice, light, white, firm flesh. For some of the locals here, if they've heard of Hawaiian sunfish, cherry snapper, that's tilapia. That has been renamed. What do you think, Fred?
That's an absolutely delicious fish. I will say this, tilapia in downtown Honolulu sells for between $9 and $11 a pound. That is $2 a pound more than moi.
Brendon, I saved some questions for you.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Go easy, I just woke up.
So a year ago, you were working here in the nursery, right? Did you agree with your dad when he said he was going to, modify the operation to include aquaponics? Did you say, that's a great idea, Dad? Or did you say, wait a minute?
Oh, I thought it was a great idea. I was actually just learning about it in school when it happened. So
Where you go to school?
University of Hawaii.
Studying?
Tropical plants.
Ah.
Yeah. So I thought it would be kind of cool if I did it at the same time as I was learning about it. But unfortunately, they didn't know that much about it at the time. It was just like a new thing, like, wow, check this out. And now, I get to show my professors things about it that they don't know,
Then we took a walk around the farm to take a look at how you grow vegetables in a closed system with tilapia.
We use ebb and flow method for our biofilters, and then we'll run the water through the flow beds. We're beginning just now, you'll see, to use it as a growing media, but on a very small scale. For this, the lettuce production is to the right side of the road here. We're looking at 20 float beds, 8,000 square feet of production on the tables themselves. It's taking up about 10,000 square feet of land. We're able to produce about 16,000 heads a month if we're at full gear, at full production.
So what's more profitable, the lettuce or the fish?
It's a combination. I don't think that it would be as profitable if we simply raised fish, because the fish take 9 to 12 months to mature.
It's a timing issue.
It's a timing issue. The lettuce gives us production every 30 days we can harvest, and so we're actually turning money a lot quicker with the lettuce. But when we combine the two together, I think we can see a return of profit within a year to a year and a half. We need to get that data down right now. The goal, I think, is to do the 1 acre, and then this is the prototype, and take it, either expand it here if it really is as profitable as I think it can be, or take it to another site where it's not as prime ag land and we can develop that on a much larger scale.
Yeah.
This is an extremely tricky process. If you read the literature on it, it sounds like aquaponics is so easy to do. It is not. It's water chemistry is of the most important one of the most important issues. Dissolved oxygen levels are really, really important.
Okay, and this is a fish tank.
This
over
is the
here.
fish tank,
I can see
yes.
water in the side.
Yes.
So there are live fish in there.
Oh, yes. Oh, you want to see?
Yeah. Look like koi at a distance.
Yeah.
They're brightly
Sorta, kinda.
colored.
This is sunfish.
No,
This is one variety of tilapia that we're raising. This is what they originally called sunfish, I think.
I notice you have a net, visible, transparent net, only in one place.
Only, yes.
Because they don't really need to have light.
What is good for the fish is not necessarily good for the plants. So we're trying to control the amount of algae in the water, and that's why we cover everything up as tight as possible. We're also trying to control evaporation. So if we minimize evaporation, we actually minimize our water use. I don't think enough experiments have been run to figure out exactly how much water we're using, but I know it's a minuscule amount. This is Azolla. a type of duckweed that we're raising, and the fish are fed 20% of this every day, and it replenishes itself every day.
That's perfect.
It's perfect. This is tilapia again, but if you notice, it's a white and black variety of tilapia. These guys are about 1.5 to 2 pounds in size.
So they're almost at full size.
They're market already. I just want to get them bigger just because I'm having a hard time killing my fish. But it's really sad.
It's that special relationship.
You really do, you know. I have a hard time eating them. And not because it's tilapia, but because it's my fish.
They're your progeny, yeah.
You know, we need to decide where that fish is best marketable because there is a growth curve.
It's all in the book.
We keep talking about this book. I wish there was one. So here, I'll show you how these fish respond to the azolla.
Oh, there you go. They're just as happy about that as they are about the fish.
They are, and they've already been fed.
Oh,
these are
tomatoes.
beets. These are beets
Okay.
up here, and we're trying to do it in the biofilter. I think that we're going to be able to produce tomatoes off of this system.
They look big.
I'm not a farmer, so I'm not a vegetable farmer.
You
so
are,
this
you
is
are
a
now.
yeah, this is a real learning experience. They were seedlings when planted. This is 3 weeks and 3 days right now.
Well, they look pretty well grown,
From
though.
this.
They get much bigger?
3 weeks, 3 days.
That's great.
They will go over the top.
So this is, wow. And that's because of the level of nutrition they
It's
get.
the nutrition. This is has been a
This
lot
is
of things
definitely
to
the new
try and
agriculture.
do in
Yes,
the
it has
6
been
months that we've been doing it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I want to try everything.
Doesn't matter.
I want to try everything.
Really, what
you
you're
know,
using
but
is the sun.
That's correct.
So
we got to get to that point.
we also spoke with some aquaponics experts to get a handle on how it's done and how it could affect our agriculture, aquaculture, and our economy.
First, there's James Rakocy, who has dedicated his career at the University of the Virgin Islands to the development and improvement of the science of aquaponics. He's been to Hawaii several times to share his knowledge.
I've been at this a long time, and we've had many years at the University of the Virgin Islands to develop this system, and we've gone through many scale-ups until we got to a commercial size. And then about 10 years ago, we started offering a course on this, and we've had a tremendous number of people from all over the world come and attend that course. We've had 418 students so far from 42 states and U.S. territories and 47 other countries, and including several people from Hawaii. And this system was developed on a small island where there are limitations in terms of water supply and land, and these limitations that we've had in the Virgin Islands apply to Hawaii. So it makes sense to transfer this technology to Hawaii. The commercial scale system that we have occupies about 1/8 of an acre, and we can raise about 25,000 pounds of food annually in 1/8 of an acre. I mean, if you multiply that up to an acre, that's 200,000 pounds of food. Tremendous advantage of an aquaponic system. Besides using very little land and very little water, they lend themselves to sustainable production on a weekly basis. It's you can be harvesting your plants in the morning, transplanting by noon, and the next day your plants are well on their way to growing because they have all the water they need, all the nutrients they need. There's no weeds. These are plants grown with the roots in water. It's the perfect environment. In fact, we've done trials where we raise plants in an aquaponics system and compare them to field crop production. And I'll give you an example with basil, for example. They grew 3 times faster in the aquaponics system than they did in the soil. Actually, to make these systems work properly, we actually remove the solid waste, but we remove it rather slowly so that the bacteria can break it down and release the minerals that are in there. And so we don't allow the solid waste to move on to the plant growing areas. And so the plants really only absorb inorganic nutrients, but the source of that comes from the organic waste from the fish.
So the organic waste from the fish never actually touches the plants, it's just the elements of that.
Yeah, it's just the composition of that, the minerals. There's plants require 13 nutrients to grow. It's really the fish feed that's the source of the nutrients. The fish process those nutrients, and in that process, the fish are supplying 10 of the 13 nutrients that are required for plant growth. We have to supplement with calcium, potassium, and iron. The fish we're growing are tilapia, and they also grow very rapidly in this system and at very high densities. For example, our commercial scale system has 4 fish rearing tanks that are about 2,000 gallons, 10 feet in diameter, 4 feet high. And we can produce about 1,300 pounds of fish in a 24-week period.
Finally, we spoke with Benny Ron, aquaculture coordinator at the University of Hawaii, to get his input on the future of aquaponics in our state.
Is there anybody out there that manufactures a kind of kit where I can go down to Kmart or Walmart or somewhere and I can buy a kit and put it in my backyard and I don't have to read any books. I just start the kit up.
There are many companies in Hawaii, and as you said, on the internet. I even found it on Amazon and others. There are companies in Wisconsin, very successful. There is a company in Florida, and they are all over the place. You can just go on the internet and buy your aquaponics system. The best is, though, if you have a local guide. It can be either extension agent,
Show you with your hands.
and or a farmer that can just give you some, incentive on how to do things and to make sure that you do the things right. But actually, if you go on our website, aquaculturehub.org, you will find many members, and we have an aquaponics group. You find many members that will be more than happy to guide you, help you, direct you.
Are we limited to tilapia?
No,
You can have other kinds of fish.
definitely. People in Hawaii are using also catfish. You can use other fish, and it's mainly depending on the place where you're at. In Australia, New Zealand, they use different kind of fish, and because they don't use the tilapia. But it doesn't mean that it cannot be done. And also in Hawaii, you can look for different species and use it. You can use goldfish if you want to, but also it depends on the kind of water you're using. If the plants that you're using need fresh water, you are bound to use fish that live in fresh water. If somebody will try to do aquaponics with seawater, they will have to and grow, for example, either salicornia. These are plants that can be sustained in seawater and actually doing very well, or they use algae, all sort of algae, microalgae or sea lettuce. They're going to use, of course, fish that are living a natural way in seawater.
Well, that's great.
The nice thing about it is that you can start from the small system, like you said. You can sell your friends or neighbors or family, or you can have large systems.
So how big does it have to be a commercial system? I mean, in acres, for example.
Aquaponics is not like in agriculture, where you need to have acres and acres in order to get your profit. That beautiful thing about aquaponics is that all you need is an acre or two, and you can make it commercial.
We know that there are lots of backyard aquaponics farms in Hawaii, proving that aquaponics works well on a small scale. Now the question is whether it can work on a larger scale and commercially. Fred Lau is trying to do just that. Good luck, Fred.
If you want to know more about what's going on at Mari's Gardens, see marisgardens.com. If you'd like to know more about James Rakocy's work at the University of the Virgin Islands, see uvi.edu. Finally, if you'd like to check out Benny Ron's site, see aquaculturehub.com. For a list of these sites, see thinktechhawaii.com.
Don't forget, on Thursday, December 16th, the state's Strategic Development Corporation, along with the High Tech Development Corporation, are doing a symposium on best practices in state-supported entrepreneurial programs, with experts coming from Ohio, Oklahoma, and Kansas. You can sign up at enterprisehonolulu.com, hsdc-hawaii.org, or htdc.org.
This is an event that Enterprise Honolulu, HSDC, the Hawaii Strategic Development Corporation, and the High Tech Development Corporation are joined together to put on. We think it's really important that the debate of what happens after Act 221, what happens to the tech industry, what happens to our community at large, is brought to a larger group of people. So we're looking for business leaders to come in and join in the conversation. And in order for the debate, the bar of the debate to go up, we wanted to make sure everybody understood various models, not just one. It can't be a debate about whether one idea is good or bad, but multiple ideas and take the best of all of them to suit Hawaii.
Can I go a little further and ask why these three states? Oklahoma, Ohio, and
Kansas.
Kansas.
So the small communities were picked because we wanted to make sure that we weren't just mimicking something that wasn't comparable to us, such as the Silicon Valley or the New York area or the Boston area known for biotech. So we wanted to pick up best practices from smaller communities that really had to struggle, reflect on its own strengths, and figure out how to grow their business into innovation-based economies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gee, it's so important, and we really have to keep on pressing on it. You know, we've had a bit of a reverse in the loss of 221, and I know this is valuable for entrepreneurship, for startups, and for tech. What are we going to do about capital incentives?
Capital incentives are important, and that deserves a lot of talk and a lot of heated discussion about how it could be done, because we don't have very much.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we can't really forget that capital formation cannot be the only silver bullet. There actually isn't any silver bullet. So we need to speak to mentorship. We need to speak to how to get our entrepreneurs hooked up, networked. Those are actually more the challenges, right?
Yeah.
Because if we figure out the rest of it, people are convinced the money will come.
Right after that, at 5:30 p.m. on December 16th at the Plaza Club, ThinkTech will be having its 10th reunion. We'll have 10 years of guests and friends visiting, and some of your favorite people will be there, including Jay.
And Duke.
Join us for an evening of recurrent reunion, competitive cocktails, pretentious poo-poos, amicable amiabilities, and sobering sobriquets. Sign up on thinktechhawaii.com so we know you're coming.
That was great, Duke. Want a tech job? This could be your big opportunity. On December 29th, come down to HTDC's 11th Annual Science and Tech Fair, 4:30 to 8 p.m. at the Japanese Cultural Center. For details, see Tech Jobs Hawaii or write to events@htdc.org.
Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association, is back and ready to give us this week's Spensation.
You know, there was a piece in the news a few days ago about earmarks maybe coming to an end for Hawaii. What does this mean?
You know, Hawaii has been the beneficiary of earmarks, and Senator Inouye, who of course is head of the Appropriations Committee now, has even called himself the number one earmark legislator. He actually believes that if you're a legislator and you're not making sure money is being funneled to your state for certain projects, so you're not doing your job. It's a responsibility of a legislator. And I tend to agree with him. I think there are certain types of activities that there are just no competitive bidding process for. And if it wasn't for our legislators looking out for these activities, we'd be sunk, especially here in Hawaii.
So if the Republicans put the quash on earmarks, as they have threatened to do, what happens?
Well, it could have a tremendously negative impact on our dual-use sector of the tech industry. As you know, it is very competitive out there to get federal grants and contracts, but we're in the most strategic place in the United States as far as Office of Naval Research and CIROS and many other programs that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the senator. Another example is East-West Center, a think tank for Asia, U.S. affairs. It wouldn't exist without earmarks. It would be a terrible shame if we lost that. Even things like Native Hawaiian health are specifically taken care of with earmarks. So it would be such a shame to lose that capability. It's destined to happen someday anyway, as we lose seniority in the Congress. But if it's taken away prematurely, we're really going to be hurting.
Not a good sign. I hope we can somehow deal with it.
I think we'll have to try.
Yes,
Hawaii got almost $500 million in earmarks in last year, and that would be a real hurt on our economy if we lost even a fraction of those funds.
We'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of ThinkTech. But first, we want to thank our underwriters.
Thanks to the Scheidler Family Foundation. Jay Scheidler, through the Scheidler Family Foundation, is an active supporter of a number of educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech Hawaii.
Hawaiian Electric Company, HECO and its affiliates Miko and Maui and Helco on the Big Island are deeply committed to supporting the communities they serve.
Galen Ho. Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company which has a large presence in and commitment to Hawaii.
The High-Tech Development Corporation. HTDC is a state agency dedicated to developing Hawaii's high-tech industry, diversifying our economy, and providing quality jobs for our people.
We are very appreciative to them all.
Yes, we are. Okay, that wraps up this week's edition of ThinkTech. Remember, you can watch ThinkTech on OC16 several times a week. For additional times, check out oc16.tv.
For lots more ThinkTech videos and for underwriting and sponsorship opportunities, please visit thinktechhawaii.com. Be a sponsor and help us reach Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidell. Thanks for joining us on ThinkTech.
And I'm Duke Oishi. Aloha, everyone.